Stop babying her, Michael. Emma's just doing this for attention. Jessica's voice carried through the kitchen as I pretended to sleep on the living room couch. She's 32, not 80. Nobody our age needs blood pressure medication. My husband's response was tired, rehearsed. Jess, her condition is genetic. Mom had the same thing, remember? And Mom was a hypochondriac too. Jessica snapped. Your perfect wife is just copying her to get sympathy. Trust me, I'm a wellness coach. I know these things. I kept my eyes closed, my head pounding. Jessica, my sister-in-law, had moved in with us temporarily 3 months ago after her divorce. Since then, she'd made it her mission to prove I was faking my hypertension for attention. My name is Emma Chen, and I'd been managing my hereditary high blood pressure since I was 25. Michael's mother had the same condition, which ultimately led to her stroke last year. Maybe that's why Jessica hated me so much. I was a living reminder of the mother-in-law who never approved of her. Emma, Michael's gentle voice broke through my thoughts. How are you feeling? Ready for your medication? I opened my eyes to find Jessica standing behind him, her perfectly manicured hands crossed over her designer yoga outfit. She's fine, Jessica interrupted. Look at her lounging around all day. Some of us actually work for a living. The irony wasn't lost on me. I worked from home as a software developer, while Jessica's work consisted of posting wellness tips on Instagram and selling questionable supplements to her followers. I'll get it myself, I said, standing carefully. The dizziness had been getting worse lately, but I attributed it to stress. Having Jessica in our house was like living with a venomous snake. You never knew when she'd strike. In the kitchen, I reached for my pill bottle in the cabinet. Something felt off. The tablets looked slightly different, a bit more glossy than usual, but Jessica was watching me from the doorway. Her green eyes narrowed, and I didn't want to give her more ammunition. You know, she said sweetly, I have some amazing natural supplements that could cure your condition, much better than those dangerous pharmaceuticals. I swallowed my pill with water. I'll stick with my prescription, thanks. That evening, as I prepared for our extended family Thanksgiving dinner, the symptoms became impossible to ignore. My vision blurred at the edges, and my heart felt like it was trying to escape my chest. You're just nervous about hosting, Jessica announced to everyone, as I gripped the kitchen counter. Maybe if you did yoga like me, instead of popping pills. Michael's Aunt Susan shot her a disapproving look. Leave her alone, Jessica. Emma's health isn't your business. But Jessica wasn't finished. She pulled out her phone, starting to record. This is a perfect example of pharmaceutical dependency, she narrated. Watch how she creates drama to get attention. The room spun violently. I tried to focus on the turkey I was carving, but my hands wouldn't cooperate. The knife clattered to the floor. See? Jessica's voice sounded distant. Classic attention-seeking behavior. But watch what happens when everyone ignores her. I never heard the end of her sentence. The kitchen tiles rushed up to meet me as my legs gave way. The last thing I saw was Jessica's triumphant smile as she continued filming. I woke up in the ICU, surrounded by beeping machines. Michael was clutching my hand, his face tear-streaked. Dr. Harrison, my cardiologist, stood at the foot of my bed reviewing charts with 2 other doctors. Your blood pressure was dangerously high, she explained. You're lucky your heart didn't give out completely. We're running tests to understand why your medication seemed to stop working suddenly. From the hallway, I could hear Jessica's protests. This is ridiculous. She's obviously faking. I was filming the whole thing for my wellness channel. People need to see how big pharma creates addicts. Mrs. Walker, a stern voice responded. The police would like to see your phone, and any supplements you've been giving your sister-in-law. Jessica's voice rose to a shriek. Supplements. I never. She takes those pills herself. I was just documenting. A police officer entered my room, followed by a grave-looking hospital administrator. Mrs. Chen, we need to discuss something concerning. The preliminary tests on your medication showed. Michael's grip on my hand tightened as Jessica's voice grew more hysterical in the hallway. The officer looked at my charts, then back at me with concern. Your sister-in-law has a rather interesting social media history of exposing people with medical conditions. But what we found in your prescription bottle is far more serious than simple sugar pills. The pills in your prescription bottle were laced with caffeine and ephedrine, the officer explained, his face grim. Substances that actively raise blood pressure. This wasn't just replacing medication with placebos. This was deliberate attempt to cause a medical crisis. Michael's face went white. She was trying to make Emma's condition worse. Dr. Harrison stepped forward, holding a tablet displaying Jessica's wellness blog. According to her social media, she's been planning this expose for weeks. She calls it unmasking medical fraud. There are detailed posts about how she intended to prove Emma was faking by forcing a crisis. The reality of what Jessica had done hit me like a physical blow. She hadn't just taken away my medication, she'd actively tried to trigger a hypertensive episode, and she'd filmed it all, planning to use my collapse as content for her channel. We've seized her phone, the officer continued. The video of your collapse has already been uploaded with the caption "Watch what happens when a pill addict gets caught." It's got thousands of views. My hands trembled as Michael showed me the video on his phone. There I was, collapsing in our kitchen while Jessica narrated about pharmaceutical dependency and attention-seeking behavior. Even after I hit the floor, she kept filming, telling her viewers how this was proof that medication was unnecessary. The comments were horrifying. Finally, someone exposing these fakers. Natural healing is the only way. She's just acting for attention. None of them knew I'd been fighting for my life in the ICU, while Jessica edited and posted the video. There's more, Dr. Harrison said quietly. We found a calendar on her phone. She's been systematically increasing the dangerous substances in your pills over the past month, documenting your deteriorating health as withdrawal symptoms. Michael exploded. She could have killed you, all for some twisted social media stunt. The police officer nodded grimly. Miss Walker has quite a history. We've found similar expose videos on her channel, targeting other people with chronic conditions. She's built quite a following in the wellness community by proving medical conditions are fake. Just then, we heard a commotion in the hallway. Jessica's voice rose in protest as additional officers arrived. You don't understand. I'm helping people see the truth about Big Pharma. Emma's fine, look, she's awake. This just proves she was faking. She tried to push past the officers to film me again, her phone raised. My followers need to see this. The truth about medical fraud. Jessica Walker, the officer in my room, stepped out. You're under arrest for aggravated assault, tampering with prescription medication, and attempted manslaughter. Her face contorted with rage. Attempted manslaughter. She's not even hurt. This is exactly what these attention seekers do. They call the police when someone exposes their lies. As they led her away in handcuffs, she was still shouting about her followers and her mission to expose medical fraud. Her perfectly maintained wellness coach facade had cracked completely, revealing the dangerous obsession beneath. The hospital administrator approached my bed with a thick file. Mrs. Chen, we've been investigating your sister-in-law's activities. She's been purchasing unregulated substances online and targeting patients with chronic conditions. You're not her first victim, but we're hoping you'll be her last. He showed us screenshots from her private wellness coaching group, dozens of posts about exposing people with various medical conditions, detailed plans for proving they were addicted to their medications. She'd been building towards this for months, maybe years. The FDA has been monitoring her wellness product sales, he explained. She's been selling unauthorized supplements, while actively discrediting prescribed medications. The combination of substances she put in your pills, she knew exactly what she was doing. Michael sat heavily in the chair beside my bed. All those times she called Emma an attention seeker. She was the one manufacturing drama for social media. The magnitude of Jessica's betrayal was overwhelming. She hadn't just endangered my life, she'd planned to use my medical crisis to launch a larger anti-medication campaign. The calendar on her phone revealed her next targets: a teenager with diabetes, an elderly man with heart disease, even a child with severe allergies. She's looking at serious federal charges, the officer explained. Tampering with prescription medication across state lines, selling unauthorized substances, conspiracy to commit bodily harm. Her wellness empire is over. As night fell, I lay in my hospital bed, my properly regulated medication finally bringing my blood pressure under control. Michael had gone home to secure all our medications and change the locks. Jessica's followers were already flooding social media with conspiracy theories about her arrest, claiming she was being silenced by pharmaceutical companies. But the truth was in the hospital's tests, in the tampered pills, and in Jessica's own detailed records of her attempts to cause my collapse. Her wellness channel hadn't exposed medical fraud, It had exposed her own dangerous obsession with proving everyone else wrong. 6 months after my collapse, I sat in the courtroom watching Jessica's wellness empire crumble. The prosecution had laid out an overwhelming case dust, dozens of tampered medication samples, detailed plans for targeting other patients, and hundreds of social media posts documenting her calculated attacks on people with chronic conditions. The defendant didn't just endanger her sister-in-law's life, the prosecutor stated. She built an entire business around discrediting legitimate medical conditions. Her followers acted on her advice, with devastating consequences. They showed screenshots from her wellness coaching group, people sharing stories of stopping their medications, encouraged by Jessica's exposure videos. 3 had ended up hospitalized. 1, a teenage diabetic, had nearly died after following her natural healing protocol. Jessica sat at the defendant's table, her designer yoga outfit replaced by modest business attire, her perfectly styled hair now limp and dull. She still tried to maintain her wellness guru persona, speaking about alternative healing and pharmaceutical freedom, but the evidence painted a different picture. Look at these messages. The prosecutor displayed her private chats on the courtroom screen. Here she tells her followers, once Emma breaks down publicly, we'll have proof that these conditions are fake. Think of the views. Think of the speaking engagements. Michael squeezed my hand as we listened to Jessica's recorded phone calls from jail. She was still trying to monetize her crimes, pitching a book about being silenced by Big Pharma to publishers. When it was my turn to speak, I stood steady, my properly managed blood pressure no longer a source of shame but a testament to survival. My sister-in-law didn't just attack me, I began. She attacked every person who depends on medication to live a normal life. She turned our health conditions into content, our struggles into entertainment, and nearly killed me for views. Jessica finally showed emotion, then not remorse, but anger. I was helping people, she burst out. You're all slaves to the pharmaceutical industry. My followers know the truth. The judge's response was swift. Miss Walker, your followers watched you commit attempted manslaughter live on social media. The only truth here is your complete disregard for human life. The sentence came down hard, 15 years in federal prison, additional charges for selling unauthorized supplements, permanent ban from all social media platforms, restitution to her victims. Her wellness empire was officially dead. As they led her away, Jessica turned to her remaining supporters in the gallery. Keep spreading the truth, don't let them silence you. But her audience had dwindled to a handful of die-hard conspiracy theorists. The wellness community had largely turned against her after the FDA published their findings about her supplements. Tests showed they contained dangerous combinations of stimulants and unregulated substances. In the months that followed, I channeled my experience into advocacy. Working with medical professionals, I helped create a support network for people recovering from dangerous wellness advice. Former followers of Jessica's reached out, sharing stories of how her protocols had harmed them. Michael's family underwent their own healing. His parents, who had initially defended Jessica as just trying to help, now spoke openly about the dangers of medical misinformation. They attended support groups for families affected by wellness scams, trying to understand how their daughter had become so radicalized. 1 year later, I stood at a medical conference, sharing my story alongside other survivors of wellness industry exploitation. My cardiologist, Dr. Harrison, had helped organize the event to raise awareness about the dangers of unauthorized medical coaching. The wellness industry preys on vulnerability, I told the audience. They turn legitimate medical conditions into moral failings, shame people for taking necessary medication, and profit from the chaos they create. The FDA used Jessica's case to launch a broader investigation into wellness influencers who discourage prescribed medication. Her detailed records of targeting chronically ill people became a case study in medical exploitation. Her followers gradually dispersed, many sharing their own stories of how her advice had harmed them. The teenager with diabetes started a support group for young people pressured to abandon their medication. The wellness community began policing itself more carefully, wary of becoming the next Jessica Walker. From prison, Jessica tried one last time to spin her story, writing a manifesto about being persecuted for natural healing. No publisher would touch it. Her crimes were too well documented, her methods too clearly malicious. Today my blood pressure medication sits safely in my cabinet, no longer a source of shame or secrecy. The security cameras we installed after Jessica's arrest remind me to stay vigilant, but they also show how far I've come. I'm not just a survivor of wellness industry exploitation. I'm part of the movement to prevent it from happening to others. Michael and I moved to a new house, one without memories of Jessica's betrayal. We host support group meetings in our living room, sharing stories and strategies for combating medical misinformation. Sometimes when I share my story, people ask how I can trust anyone after what happened. The truth is, Jessica didn't destroy my trust, she showed me who really deserved it. The medical professionals who saved my life, the advocates who supported me, and the community that emerged from the wreckage of her wellness empire. They proved that real healing doesn't come from exposing others, but from supporting them. Jessica wanted to film my breakdown to launch her wellness empire. Instead, she filmed her own downfall, proving that the most dangerous fraud wasn't in the medicine she hated, but in the lies she sold as truth.